Excellent. Welcome to the party. Tommy's at the Southeast Conference meeting right now in Juneau. And I'm assuming Jeff's in Anchorage. Amy looks like she's visiting family. Donna, where are you joining us from today?
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm calling from the Capitol in Juneau. I'm staff to Representative Stutes, who's about to go into a caucus meeting and is unable to join, but I'm here as her representative.
Awesome. Thank you.
Glad to have you.
And Amy's joining us from Sitka, or I'm sorry, Mary's joining us from Sitka. And of course, we have in the room here so far, Ashley. You want to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Ashley Bidman. I'm the director of the Cordova Historical Society.
And Raven?
I'm Raven Cunningham. I'm the Tribal Fish and Wildlife Director at the Chugach Regional Resources Commission, and I sit as the Vice Chair on Tribal Council.
She also has done some outreach and presentations and classes, sharing.
Through my business,
Yeah.
Made by Raven.
Yeah, great. Anybody else want to chime in with introductions online?
I'll chime in. Hi, everyone. I wish I was there with you, Kathy. Was very grateful to be with Mondi a couple weeks ago in Hawaii. So my name is Tommy Sheridan, and I'm leading the Alaska Blue Economy Center at University of Alaska Fairbanks. And I live in Cordova, but I'm in Juneau at the moment.
I'm Amy. I'm co-publisher of Edible Alaska Magazine, and I live in Cordova. I'm in San Francisco at the moment.
Well, so I can jump in. I'm calling in from Manoa on the Kona side of Oahu, which is just above Waikiki, for those of you who are familiar. And was just with Ilani on Sunday, right? We were just in Waikiki. Where are you calling in from?
So I actually live on the west side of Oahu, a place, Nanakuli, which is a Native Hawaiian homestead. But we were just in Waikiki because we had a really amazing event in Waikiki where we kind of took over a whole little portion of Waikiki. Native
Awesome.
Hawaiians, over 100-something Native Hawaiians. So that was really cool.
That
Being
was
in
very
one place,
Mhm.
teaching and sharing our culture, as well as bringing vendors from other islands. That was really awesome. Mhm.
Very cool. All right, well, looks like we're a couple minutes in. Is it all right if we get started, Kathy?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
I guess I could welcome everybody to today's session. This is part of Cordova Chamber's Business Empowerment Series. And today we are honored to and grateful to have with us Mani Jinji Kent and Hi'ilani Shibata from the beautiful state of Hawaii, who will be sharing with us about opportunities in regenerative tourism. And I also want to call out that we have joining us today, Mary Goddard, who is a part of this program that we're going to talk about later in the session, which is our Regenerative Impact Studio. And with that, I would be happy to pass it over to Mondi.
All right, bear with me. I am a little rusty since COVID time in operating Zoom. So we'll start sharing a little bit more about this Regenerative Impact Studio we have planned in between Hawaii and Alaska. This would be the first time that we've done such a program between Hawaii and Alaska, but we're not new to this initiative. In fact, since I mentioned COVID, I might as well share a little bit more about the origin story. So a few years ago, we unfortunately, as a tourism community, had to primarily shut down most of our businesses due to the fact that it was unsafe to travel, and we were continuing. We could not re-traumatize ourselves from that time, but really understand that implications of traveling with COVID were just very impactful, and not in a good way, except for maybe the environment. So we took a look at the businesses that we had been working with, they constituted nonprofit organizations, some social enterprises, and some governmental entities that were supporting environmental conservation. And we looked at what were the primarily economic impacts of COVID. And so what we got back was actually not that surprising. The most resilient businesses had more than one stream of income. And the most affected businesses or business types were our nonprofits. So this impact studio grew out of a data-driven study to look at how might we make nonprofit organizations more resilient and more sustainable themselves so they can continue to do the work of the sustainable and cultural restoration work that we rely on. Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen one more time. Yeah, so can we see that?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, so grateful to be connected with Kathy. We were linked up with Alaska Airlines of all companies to support this Regenerative Impact Studio in Hawaii a few years ago. And when we were thinking about the program expansion, they said, do you know anyone in Alaska? And so we got connected with the Cordova Chamber, and we were just so thrilled to find that there was already a regenerative strategic plan in place in regards to tourism. That was spontaneously arising. We didn't plan it ahead of time. We just both spoke the same language. And so I said, okay, let's get together and see if we can do something really cool for this town that we love. For the Impact Studio, we are continuing to garner support. We're grateful again to Alaska Airlines, as well as Hertzogerdin Foundation, Alaska Blue Economy Center. Thank you, Tommy. And actually some of our original cohort participants will be supporting us as alakai, or the graduates from our first cohort program. And wanted to reintroduce my dear friend Hiilani Shibata, who is on the call joining us from the west side of Oahu. She was born and raised in Hilo and is the co-founder of this amazing organization called Ka Mahina Project, which hopefully if there's time, we'll get to learn a little bit more about, but wanted to share more about the perspectives in working in the tourism industry in Hawaii, specifically as the lead educator for the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association, and what it's like actually adapting and working with tourism to share one's culture, one's values, and so on. So I think that we may not have an alternate for our Oli. I was wondering if you might be willing to share an opening for our space.
Yeah, so actually I think I might just Oli.
Okay.
We normally like Monday and I talked about, we normally defer to the elder of the place, you know, or the people of the place. But you know, we think that it might be good. So I'm gonna do just a really short Oli that actually was created. So that's one of the things that working within our tourism or visitor industry in Hawaii is us as Native Hawaiians that do interact regularly with the visitor industry. We've created mele songs and chants and things that we specifically use in that space. And so I thought it would be really good to kind of share it. Ea mai na lama kue ho o kipa, ke na nei na o pua o ka aina e. He loko mai ka ika manu o ka ona, ke au o ka lae hiki mai ai. Ona ka e walu, ona kua hiwi, ona hao mako. E ola Hawaii e, ola Hawaii e ola Hawaii My 6-year-old decided to join me. But that chant specifically talks about how, as the natives of the place, we are beacons of hospitality. That's really the base of that whole chant, and that we open this space because of the theme, right? The theme of how do we as people of the place, how do we make sure that when visitors come, they get an authentic experience that is not only educational, but inspirational based on the place that we live. Even if you're not native, but you're from that place, it's still really, really important to have that experience.
My
Uh-huh.
goodness.
Mhm.
Mahalo. That was really beautiful. And similarly, it would be the case that we would refer and defer to the elder of place joining, but we wanted to offer a welcome and also an acknowledgement of our shared connections across the Pacific, and also that Cordova is originally Eyak lands, and that we're very excited to interface with all of the cultures represented. And so I think this idea of being able to share one's culture authentically and confidently is all a part of cultural tourism and a part of this regenerative idea. So when Hawaii first shifted our tourism strategy to regenerative, which was just over the past 3 years, we really looked at how might we design tourism in a way that benefits community first, and then of course we can invite the visitor in. But that element of really centering our lands and our peoples had been more or less historically not the focus. So how do we kind of reorganize that so that our communities benefit first? There's a value that was really brought forward called ma'alama. And Ki'ilani, I just wanted to ask you if you might share with us, what is the meaning of ma'alama and why is it important in the tourism industry?
Yeah, so malama is a value that is not only means to care for, but it actually refers to the privilege we have of people of place. So even like I said, even if you're not native of the place or indigenous of the place, you living there, you have an innate kuleana, innate privilege to be able to share of that place. So that is really malama. How do you take care of the place and how do you show that to the people who visit?
And you mentioned also about hospitality and ho'okipa. This photo is actually from this past weekend, discussing a little bit more about how does that, like when we create experiences, what are the opportunities to share in our culture in an accurate space? I know you were, I believe, the master of ceremonies at this particular event, right? So I just was curious if you could share just a little bit more about your experience this past weekend.
Yeah, so this past weekend, it was really a unique event because we had over 125 Native Hawaiians who were in a very, very, very busy spot of Waikiki and being such a hub of our tourism industry. And we were able to authentically share parts of our culture that most times visitors don't necessarily have any way of being in contact with. And we also the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association, with their director, Amalia Saunders, was able to actually fly in from the different islands. And that's what's kind of cool, right? Is that we were able to bring in people that normally wouldn't be in Waikiki to then also showcase their, like, as vendors and as entrepreneurs and their authentic, right? Their authentic messages and stories. So that was really kind of a really awesome first time because we've had different ones, but this one was specifically unique because every single person was Native Hawaiian. Now, what was really awesome about it too was that the visitors really took to the stories that we were sharing, our authentic self, and they were really engaged in a way that I don't ever hardly see. And I've worked within the visitor industry in many different ways for over 20 years, and I it was really heartfelt. I was really moved as a Native Hawaiian by how the visitors that stopped by and then the locals, there were so many locals that came by that were just so excited to be able to be in Waikiki and feel comfortable to be among the visitors as well. Because Waikiki many times is mostly visitors. Yeah.
Mhm.
Locals don't like to go in there because there's too many visitors. And
Right.
so-
It's more designed for the visitor than
right.
local
And
participation. Yeah.
right. So they felt comfortable, and it was cool because there was interaction between the visitors and the locals, which is something that the state of Hawaii has been always wanting. So it's just creating the opportunities for it to happen and make it comfortable for both sides and just have a great time. And that's what happened. It was beautiful.
It
Mhm.
really was beautiful. And I totally agree with you. I think that the opportunity to really experience culture authentically, like you can really feel, sense the difference, but also it was just a different level of engagement. I think the visitors that appreciate that are the type of visitors we want to have more of. And so I think that that's really a basis behind this shift in our tourism strategy is we want to have visit. It's not that visitors are bad or good. It's that do they carry with them this greater um, hunger for understanding and education and connection with us versus how we had traditionally been marketed, which was party of the Pacific and everyone come drink your Mai Tais. And whereas that's fun and vacation is important, there was a missing piece to that puzzle. And so as far as looking at the deeper design behind what a regenerative tourism strategy could look like, we started getting into what's called destination management and looking at connecting with community across the different islands to support feedback loops, getting the feedback saying, well, what is it that's important to you in this area or that area? And I'm curious, Hiilani, have you been engaged in some of these or know about the DMAPs?
Yes, yes. So it went through, they actually have specific destination management action plans that are specific to our islands. And I have actually been to Cordova and I've been in Southeast Alaska. I've been up to the north. I've been in different parts of Alaska through another profession I was in, place I used to work. And so it makes me think that that's how it is, right? With Cordova and all the Southeast Alaska, you're kind of like islands, even though you're connected to a bigger land, right? But you have to get to each place is not as easy as just driving there. And so for us in our islands, the destination management was specific to the island groups because we have different problems, right? And different challenges in each of these places. And so that's what I loved about the destination management plans was that it was specific to the place. And what they did was they did focus groups that I got to participate in to bring together everybody's collective idea of how we can be first a better host, right? How we can be a better host to visitors. And two, how is our aina, how is our land being cared for by not only the locals, but also by the visitor. So that's where the regenerative comes in. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
hugely important. And looking at sustainability implications, this also, so these influences both from community, and you'll see on the right-hand side, this um, reference to Aina, or the land which feeds us. Aina Aloha is caring for our lands and also connected to identity for our indigenous communities. But further,
Mandy,
yes.
I'm so sorry. I think your slideshow is stuck. We're still seeing the image of you and I.
Oh, no. Okay. Thank you for that feedback. I'll stop sharing momentarily and try to reshare it. I think my
Okay.
upload, what it is my upload is trying to upload all the way from Hawaii all the way over to your computer.
Do you want me to share it, Mandy?
Yeah, if you can. I think it'll go a little faster over the
Okay.
internet. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm sure that was
No,
pretty confusing.
Yeah, let me see if I can do this. And then I can say, this and full screen, present. Okay. And then, see if I can advance. So here's the slide she was talking about, the picture of Ilani at the event. And should I keep going?
Yep, one more. So I was just referencing the Aina Aloha Economic Futures It was an initiative developed through COVID to really relook at the implications of our tourism industry and how might we look at community-driven examples, and how might we measure how regenerative is this thing anyway. Speaking of regenerative, if you go to the next slide, I'll share a little bit more in depth about what we mean when we say regenerative. And mahalo Ilani for your ike and mana'o. Really appreciate that and love that. Love your perspective on that. Regenerative is a concept that is related to sustainability. We're going to talk about it a few different times, but I thought, for those who aren't as familiar with it, this would be a little bit helpful to sort of zero in on what it actually means. So in essence, we are reintegrating. We are making whole again. We are connecting to our lands, our peoples, our practices. We're doing it in a way, we're doing commerce in a way that leaves us more whole or better. If if you advance the next slide, I actually teach this in my classes. So if you consider green and sustainable and regenerative as sort of this new equation, sustainability is sort of that equal sign in the middle. It's how do we sustain ourselves through time with all of our resources and considerations. The minus sign may be like, let's go green. It's good, it's better, but it's not, doesn't complete that circle. But as far as regenerative, if we were to reference this idea, it would be a plus sign. So when you think of regenerative, I want you to think of a plus sign. And then I get really into it on the next slide. So for those who are right along there with us, we've heard all these different initiatives like, hey, let's go green, let's be sustainable. Now we're hearing regenerative. What does this mean exactly? So when we look at operating business, back when we didn't have to worry about sustainability, everything was omnipresent. There was a lot of resources. We didn't really need to make those considerations because we believed that resources were just plentiful. But unfortunately, we had some unintended consequences to thinking that way. So now we have some considerations about, oh, shoot, maybe we need to look at how to be a little bit more sustainable. And in fact, as we move along this continuum from traditional business 1.0 to green to sustainable, we start looking at what's called triple bottom line, or considering not just profits, because we gotta make money, but what about people and place, or people in our planet? On the far right, you'll see a reference to this idealism, a utopia, this aspirational place that we might be able to go in our minds as an exercise, but it's a little more realistic to shoot for the stars and land on the moon with regenerative. And actually, if we advance next slide, regenerative sounds like a new thing, but actually it's rooted in our Indigenous heritage. So in my viewpoint in this regenerative continuum, we're actually going back to how things used to be or used to work in reference to when we address things around commerce and our ecology. Okay, next slide, please. So for example, our Afupua'a system, we have a mountain to ocean land management system. The ancient Hawaiians were extremely brilliant engineers and civil engineers and farmers and so on. And so with these crops, we were able to cultivate and feed over 1 million people. That's incredible. It was all done sustainably. And so each area from the mountains to the brackish water to even in the ocean, we were able to cultivate fish and enough sustenance to support quite a large population. So when we think about when was the time that we were flourishing as a community, our original sustainability comes to mind. And that's what it looks like for us here in Hawaii. Next slide. So we think about regenerative as looking and tapping into our Indigenous excellence. If you consider that those who are the experts of place tend to be those who've been there the longest, then we can look at ideas, technologies, foods, and so on as a way to grow industry, but also to support, sustain, and hopefully regenerate our beloved home. Next slide. So wanted to share with you a couple of quick examples from the first cohort, because regenerative can look very different depending on, as Hi'ilani was mentioning, what place you're starting from, what are your values and challenges in different communities. So we're working with an organization on Maui called Namea Ikeia, and they're pretty the line of sophisticated, they're pretty on the sophisticated end. They're developing an app that supports data management and measurement of visitor frequency to a site, so that we can actually manage in our condition and where they're measuring an over tourism situation. Now, as a destination, Hawaii is actually considered a mature destination. We've been welcoming visitors for a long time, but in this case, we're managing it on the back end. And in this case, we have an opportunity in working across the Pacific to set it up a little more managed in the beginning, so we don't run into a circumstance like this where we have to measure and manage for over tourism. We're calling it smart tourism, and want to also help to support directing visitors to authentic experiences that would help be ultimately regenerative and support the economy here locally. Next slide. Here's a really different one that I love to share the story about. So Kaia'ulu o Kahalu'u is on Oahu. Now we're back on Oahu. This is an organization that is actually welcoming only volunteers, not visitors. So as a part of our destination management action plans, some of the articulated solutions actually involve creating opportunities for our local communities to connect with culture and place. Sometimes it's a case that places are not appropriate for the visitor, and that's okay. We don't need visitors to go everywhere. We need to have some areas designated just for community use. So our groups, this is a community group that has led a lot of ma'alama or work days in caring for the lands, removing invasive species, helping to support some of the architectural and archaeological elements of this space, and just really bringing this, you can see it actually in the photo, so this residential community together and remembering just how special our places are. So they have a sign up. This is part of the product of the participation of the program. We workshop the ideas with you, and then we'll help you create a calendar into which you'll be able to share for participants. You'll be able to share this engagement opportunity with your preferred participant, whether that be a local community or someone from abroad if it's appropriate, and then be able to have increased support on your work days, or maybe if you're hosting a class. It looks a lot of different ways, but we help to make it easy. Next slide. So when I was chatting with Kathy and got connected through our mutual colleagues, we really were looking at regenerative tourism as one of the pieces of the puzzle to look at having a regenerative future for our most beloved places. That includes Hawaii and it includes Cordova. So next slide. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kathy now to share a little bit more about that, and to share more how, if you're interested, we'd like to get you involved. Go ahead, Kathy.
Awesome, thank you. I hope that there is not too much background noise here for you all to see me and hear me. I'm not sure how to get my picture to show here, so I'll just close it for now. So just wanted to close out this info section portion of today's gathering with some kind of targeted information about the project that Mondi and I have been working on for several months that we're getting ready to launch. So it all revolves around, as Mondi has so elegantly explained, and Hi'ilani has helped us understand the concept of regenerative tourism. So what Mondi showed, that diagram, I think was super helpful and informative. And one way that you might choose to boil it down to is this sentence, that we believe there's an opportunity for visitors to improve a destination. And there's lots of ways for that to happen. But regenerative tourism is a model that is also known as community-based tourism. And it starts, as Mondi indicated, by looking at the people who are indigenous to this place, the values that they share, the stewardship that they have used, and you know, finding ways to then identify community needs, whether that's for infrastructure or for economic stimulation or for cultural revitalization or for environmental support. Find out what those needs are, and then also identifying what the community wants to rally around, celebrate, and sometimes hold sacred. And then you, as you're building out opportunities to improve the destination, you want to focus on existing industries and existing businesses first, and find ways to build those up through this programming. And the benefit there, of course, is that you are enhancing the place, providing for the people in the community, and it's an authentic experience for everyone if you stay true to who you are. And so we have been, we worked on a regenerative tourism destination strategy in 2021. We did some broad-based outreach. We did one-on-one interviews, group sessions. We had a survey, and we put together everyone's information to create a regenerative tourism destination strategy. And that is a living document. We have a destination leadership team that was assembled and that meets monthly to continue to work through that and improve it. And one of the things that we are excited to move forward with is our regenerative impact studio. So this is the impact studio. This is the first goal that we have for it, is regenerative economic development. So what does that mean? It means that yes, tourism has historically been about measuring how many dollars you make, and that is your method of success. And regenerative has multiple dials that you're measuring. You're measuring, you know, the impacts to the community, to the environment, to the culture, but you are still measuring impacts to the economy. And so we want the impacts to the economy to be something that really supports the existing businesses, the existing industries, and builds up the organizations, small businesses, and community groups that the community values and that provide a service and a positive impact for the community. So thoughtful product development, what does that mean? It means that when visitors come to a destination, if there are things for them to do and experience, then they will stay longer. They will provide stronger impacts to the community and economically. And if you can build those experiences to also provide positive benefits to the culture and the community and the environment, then you start reaching that triple bottom line that Monty was talking about.
Another one of the goals of the studio being Pan-Pacific cultural connection, we have found that there's an innate connection between the indigenous cultures in Alaska and Hawaii. And we would love to grow that connection and try to find ways to strengthen both cultures through some shared experiences, sharing of traditional knowledge and support, and learning about cultural revitalization and language revitalization efforts from each other, and really finding ways then to also help find the right paths to sharing that information within the community and with visitors.
The goal is to provide new experiences and resources, like I just mentioned. So the chicken or the egg, you know, we're trying to draw in positive economic impact from these visitors, and we need things for them to do, but we can't expect businesses and organizations and nonprofits to start investing in developing new things without having the business to provide. So we are choosing to invest time and energy into supporting businesses and nonprofits and community groups to develop these offerings, these experiences that then we will be able to help market and promote for them through a few different platforms to draw those people in, and they'll be specifically targeted at impact-minded travelers who value experiences that provide education for them and increase their understanding and help them develop and become actually a better person is the way that that's described. And like I said, the other benefit there is that it's also going to be very immersive and engaging for the person. And the ultimate goal is also to provide opportunities for that person that comes to visit Cordova to have such an engaging opportunity that they want to continue to support over time the destination. And that can be through getting a membership to the Copper River Watershed Project where they contribute every year. It could be a local cultural center where they contribute every year, or to continuing to come back, or to supporting it in other ways. All of this is going to lead to resilience of the destination. That's a kind of a buzzword right now, but what we mean by that is that we need strength to withstand change. And one way that we can do that is by providing more economic opportunity and making sure that that economic opportunity has more positive and less negative impact on everything that we hold important here. Program details, this is where the good stuff is. Hopefully I can like move this out of the way. Here we go. Okay, so applications are going to open soon. And I do have a QR code on a piece of paper over there, and there's a sign-up sheet right there. I would encourage you, if you're interested in this program, to, hey, Lindsay, hop on in. If you're interested in learning more about the Impact Studio, I would encourage you to follow the QR code on the piece of papers and sign in there, and then we can start sending you updates, and we'll let you know as soon as applications open. And the plan is for this to be a hybrid program. We're going to have mentorship. We're going to have curriculum that is centered around understanding the culture of the place, understanding sustainable business practices, and providing, and we'll also receive mentorship, not only from Mondi, who has proven that she's an expert on the topic and can help develop these experiences, but from people who have actually done it in Hawaii, from the cohort participants from the last session. And we'll also be working with other experts from the Alaska Blue Economy Center, from the Alaska Small Business Development Center, and from other entities. And our partnership list is growing daily for those that are going to be helping and supporting this program. We are also looking forward to the insights from Ilani on the Native Hawaiian side, and from Mary Goddard on the Alaska Native side, and hopefully from some local representation as well. And then we will be doing a travel exchange. So that's a really exciting part of this. We will be welcoming some of the Maui cohort to Cordova, and we will also be sending some of the Cordova cohort to Maui. So that's a really exciting part of this program, and we are grateful to Alaska Airlines for their support in that part of the program. And there will be, after that kind of 6 to 8 week intensive where we're meeting regularly via Zoom and going through the curriculum, then we will also be doing testing, mentoring, and continued support for several months after that. If there are experiences that are ready to go to market right away, then they can be uploaded through an API to major marketing platforms like Go Hawaii and Travelocity.com. We're working through our agreements with them and others to help kind of plug in these offerings and highlight them as regenerative and share them with a targeted audience who is looking for that. There will be a ho'oki. I hope I said that right.
Ho'ike, graduation, exhibition. That was good.
As well, and we are looking forward to a lot of cultural exchange through this program, and talking about not only what Cordova as an emerging destination can learn from Maui, a mature destination, but also what Maui, a place that has just experienced some devastating loss through the Maui wildfires, might be able to glean from the experience of a destination like Cordova, who has experienced a lot of hardship of its own. So we are excited to be working with Mondi on this program, and the next step for you and anyone else who's interested is to visit the website right there, and you can sign up to be notified as soon as applications go live. And with that, I can open it up if anybody has any questions, unless Mel, you have anything else that you want to share.
I'm still sick. There's something going around the community, so stay safe.
Well, that was really excellent. Do we have any questions from the audience, either online or
Something better than be.
Yeah, guys, this is Mary Goddard. I just wanted to say, such a great presentation, and you guys have been working on this for quite a while, so it's so fun to see the progress and just see it come together so nicely. I think you had mentioned in there, Mondi, like Hawaii is kind of working on the back end with the over tourism. And with Alaska, I always like to encourage people, like, we need to kind of get in the front of that so we're not dealing with it then. So just to encourage anyone that's in Cordova or any other community here, just to press in and get on the forefront of that so we're not dealing with it backwards. But really wonderful, and I'm super excited to be part of this, and congratulations.
Oh, mahalo. Thanks for bearing with us on all of our technical difficulties. But as you can see, our hearts are in the right place. We want to make sure we keep Hawaii, Hawaii, Cordova, Cordova, and really also to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming. It really is about elegant design, and we want to support especially our Indigenous communities, but everyone who's interested in supporting positive impact for our places to join us. And, it doesn't hurt that there'll be a little travel involved. Thanks again, Alaska Airlines, for that exchange. And yeah, we're really excited to really provide opportunity and healing for both of our destinations.
I'll also add to that, one thing that is exciting about this is that Mondi and I both believe that this is a program that if we can make it work in Cordova, we can make it work in other communities in Alaska. And I know that Mary has worked for many years, doing outreach to communities that are in a similar position as Cordova, that are interested in the opportunities that come with tourism, but that are concerned about other consequences. So this is kind of a pilot program for Alaska, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to do this good work with Mondi and Ilani and Mary and everyone else. So thank you. Is there any other questions in the room here?
Do you have many stainless steel drawings that you can also go?
Before we end, Mondi, would you like to share anything about what the cohort participants, what we're looking for in the application? Cohort
Yeah,
participants.
absolutely. So the on-ramps to prosperity, as we call it, the application is going to be pretty straightforward. It's designed to be accessible. If you do need any help, you can either contact myself or Kathy with support in getting through it. But we basically want to see what's your idea. Are you perhaps in the fishing industry and you expect to get into mariculture? So you're kind of already set up with your facility, perhaps your boat. You might, but you don't know kind of what direction to go in to be able to set up something like a tour or an opportunity for someone to experience that with you, who might want to learn all about those opportunities or even food sources. Another example that we look for, obviously food is very, it brings us all together. It's very popular. Anything related to outdoors, sports, water sports, things like that, things where people can go hiking or be active are really generally popular. On top of that, if someone has the permission to share a particular cultural activity, like in our case, we have coconut weaving with one of our friends and residents on Maui. Coconut weaving is traditional, and also you get to make something to take home with you, whether it be a hat or a basket or a little fun something. So there's really, it's really up to the creativity of the participants to offer their ideas. And it doesn't have to be perfect, of course. That's what the workshop is for, is to kind of workshop it through, and it's okay if the idea changes. But we just want to see what is the best of the best that Cordova as community wants to offer. And then we'll take a look. It will be reviewed. If there are cultural components, we'll make sure to have pass that through our review council, as well as implications for sustainability and positive impact and marketing and feasibility. If it's something that's totally like moonshot, we might ask you to revise and maybe apply again next time. But I think it doesn't hurt to apply. Just give it a try. We're looking for at least 10 participants from Cordova, so your chances are good. And if you have any further questions, I'm available, but I would just invite everyone to sign up through this contact for more information.
Thank you so much, Nandi. I'll just give one more opportunity for anybody that would like to chime in before we close this session and move on to our social hour. Any other comments online or in the room?
Thank you very much. That was very interesting.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for being here.
Likewise, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tommy. Thanks. Wonderful.
I don't want to get in the way of happy hour. Enjoy your pauhana, everyone. We'll see you on the flip side.
All right.
Thank you.
Aloha.